welcome everyone back to the Crimson 15 podcast. I'm your host, Crimson Sin, and be sure to follow us over on Twitter at C15 Podcast. On today's comic book review, I will be reviewing Rags #1. Be sure to check out my previous review for Rags Prologue, and as much as I love that comic, issue 1 is even better, so make sure to go out there and buy it. I picked up this issue digitally from New Age Ninja Corps. I'll leave a link in the bottom. There's a censored and uncensored version. I picked it up for $1.50 for the uncensored version, so I had to go through and re-censor it for my YouTube video because I don't want, to avoid all that madness. But be sure to pick this up because at $1.50, it is probably the best comic I ever bought for $1.50, hands down. So starting with the cover, another great cover, very similar to the Prologue cover, but this one she's in her bikini. She's a very beautiful woman. She's carrying her G36C, a well-drawn firearm again. I love the details. You get details in the background here. She's her back's to a bunch of zombies. Again, a very eye-catching cover. Just this alone, her tattoos are amazing. I don't know if I mentioned that in the prologue. She has the tattoos are really, really cool looking. They're very the Marine Corps, very patriotic. I think they're really awesome. And then we get right in. It's the same 2 pages where it kind of does a character breakdowns and then the overall scope of the story. It's the same from the prologue, so I won't waste your time reading that. And it starts right where the prologue ended. She got hit in the face. She made it to safety, and then she had a whole bunch of guns pointed at her head. So, we didn't know if this is going to be a good situation or a worse situation that she was in, but at least she's away from the zombies. So she's on the ground, and she's basically just asking for some clothes. And I think it was kind of funny that there's a younger kid in this group of survivors, and she's like, oh, he's all like, oh, she's naked, that's gross. Kid, when you get a little bit older, you're not going to think that anymore. But you kind of get that fear where these survivors still don't know exactly if she's been bitten, what's her story, where is she coming from, why the heck doesn't she have any clothes on? We get to learn why that is later, but in this first part, we just really don't know what's going on. She is kind of, you can tell that she isn't well. She has a kind of a bad attitude, and then she kind of goes back and forth between being sad and even like crying to the point, and then like, well, wow, she's gonna break down, but then she turns around and then puts that tough face on there, and then she's always calling people names. She has like nicknames for people. She doesn't like where she's at. She hates this little town she's in, and she even kind of brings up like the guy's like, well, let's get her some clothes. We don't want this naked girl walk around in this young boy's hair. And even she says, it's not the worst thing in the world. He sees her tits and her vagina. It's not going to kill him. It's, it's the human body. So she goes around looking for some clothes, and she can't find any. Everything's already been, like, picked clean. There's absolutely nothing here. And then she starts just trashing the place. She has an anger issue. I can kind of already see that this character has problems. She kind of has a breakdown moment where she's just laying there sobbing. And then we have our other character that actually is in the character bio. He shows up and he's like, are you okay? And of course, every time you ask someone if they're okay, they never tell you the truth. That's like some type of weird guarantee in the world. And he notices her tattoos, so he's like, "Whoa, you must be a soldier. Why else would you have like all these tattoos?" And then she lies and says she's not. And he's trying to apologize because he's the one that actually hit her in the face when she came through the door. He panicked and did a panic swing. And he's trying to explain, well, I'm kind of sorry that happened. I'm Riley, and everything, trying to give her a name. And she's just kind of going through the stuff looking for any type of supplies, something she can use. And she finds some baby wipes. And, hey, baby wipes are a soldier's best friend. Multiple uses for baby wipes. But she's there. She's trying to clean herself up, stop her bloody nose and all that. And this guy's trying to make up for what he did, this Riley character. So he's, like, trying to help her out. And she has to be... He asks her, would you like a hand? She's like, I have two. She just has this really bad attitude. But then you can kind of like, it's a self-defense mechanism. You put up this stone-cold face so people can't get close to you so they can't hurt you. That's what I'm getting a feeling from Regina here. That I'd rather push everyone away so they don't have a chance to get close to me and then they get to hurt me, so I'll just hurt them first. I think that's the kind of attitude I'm getting from her. Because you can see even in this next scene, he's trying to help her out, with her bloody nose, kind of clean her up a little bit. And she's kind of letting him. Then she kind of pushes away again. Then she gets to start again with, making fun of him. She puts her hand up in his face, and she asks him if he has a girlfriend or whatever. And then she gets all up in his face. She gets that knife hand. That is a very, I remember I had a Sergeant Jones. he did the finger, not the whole knife hand, but he did the point of the finger in your face, and he does thing. He's talking to you, and he's basically telling you how things are, and you don't get to question the situation. And she does the same kind of thing. She's calling him names. She's making fun of him. Hey, you know, I hope you got a nice look at the peep show. This whole kind of stuff. So that juxtaposition between kind of letting him help her out, and then she has to get that hardcore, hey, get out of my face kind of attitude. She bounces back and forth a lot. And I like that in her character. She's not just this one-dimensional damsel in distress, everyone save me, and she's also not this unstoppable badass either. It's more real, and that's what kind of kept me engaged through the story, because I kind of want to see where she goes. Kind of an emotional roller coaster with this girl. So after Regina's done berating Riley here, she asks for his jacket and gives it to her. So at least she has a top on now, so she's not completely naked. So she zips that up, and, you know, she's trying to, you know, look through some more of these medical supplies. Because she got cut on her leg. She's, like, you know, bandaging that up. And then one of the other older survivors comes in, and she has to, again with that attitude, oh, did you enjoy the show, Hefe? And it's like, and the guy's trying to apologize too. He's like, sorry for pointing a gun at you and all that. And then she blows up on him. She just doesn't like this situation, and she's rightfully so. You know, she was asking for help and they weren't even letting her into the building. But it's like, even he says it, because at the same exact time I was feeling the same way that this other survivor was feeling. She's talking about how come there's no clothes here or anything, and she's like, yeah, he's like, yeah, the army came through and took most of the supplies. It's just us here and a couple of, you know, provisions here. She grabs a bottle of pills and she like takes the whole thing. There's no detail on what these pills are, but she just took a whole fistful. Maybe they're painkillers, maybe there's something else. It looks like a prescription bottle, so I doubt it's aspirin, but maybe she has a drug problem, maybe, I don't know. That's a thing we weren't privy to, but we do see here that she's just taking a whole fistful of pills. Then her survivor, you know, brings up Camp Roberts, which was where she was trying to get to. And he even brings up a little bit, though, he says, they might be able to escort you Camp Roberts, though their captain is a bit of a dick. I'm wondering, we're definitely get to meet this captain. You don't get to bring up a character trait in someone without us finding out why would he say that. So we're going to meet this captain guy. He's probably, I'm going to guess, he is going to be a little bit more controlling, and he's going to be kind of like the, I forget his name, the character in The Night of the Living Dead. He tried to run the whole show, and he ends up getting killed by zombies in the end. But I got a feeling this guy's probably not the best kind of good guy. Then he also brings up there's a MacGuffin Mall. If anyone knows in story writing movies, the MacGuffin's like an object or a thing that everyone in the story's after. So MacGuffin Mall, that's kind of funny. And he mentions a mall, and she's like, oh wow, mall, they probably have clothes. And she just, you know, jumps the table, and I'm gonna go out there and go out there and see if they have anything. And he's like, whoa, calm down, girl. You attracted all these zombies here. You can't just run out there. And of course she's, you know, I don't know, just wanting to get out of here. She's constantly has to feel like I don't know if this is a character trait of hers, but it seems like to me she has to always be in motion. She always has to be doing something. I don't think she likes downtime, because in downtime, that's when you start thinking. That's when you have your thoughts and your memories. And she obviously does not like her past. And you see that, oh, if I keep moving forward, I never have to think about what was behind me. And I think that's just something she does so she doesn't ever have to sit and think about the past and think about the hurt in her prior military career, and how she even kind of denied it with when that other guy. So I'm wondering, she's kind of running from it a little bit. It's a source of a lot of her pain. But of course, our survivor here is right. You can't just go out there. And of course, she's being mean and nasty, even though it's perfectly right of him to say, hey, you can't go out there. She's like, you know, well, I'll try to choose a quieter place to go die. Come on, stop being like that. And at the same time, our survivor guy is saying, so you can drop the effing attitude because it's not going to help anybody. And that's true. It's like, wow, about time, you know, stop being such a freaking, you know, jerk. This is a terrible situation. It sucks for you, but it sucks for everybody. You know, what was it? It's a life sandwich and we all got to take a bite. Yeah, you're not the only one. You don't have to act like all the bad things are happening to you and everyone else is just living it up. So, and then she kind of breaks down and she actually apologizes, and she talks about how everything's been, the last 2 days have been really bad. She doesn't need any sunscreen, you know, anyone, like, I have a nephew with red hair, very light skin. Yeah, he goes a long time without sunscreen and stuff like that. It can really affect them physically. and she doesn't have any pants. So she just hates everything that's going on. And then, you know, he kneels down next to her and he's like, oh, okay, let me know what happened. You know, how'd you get here and everything. And then we get some prologue that wasn't in the original prologue. But we get some breakdown, some radio messages here talking about how there was a bombing on the border. And, you know, there was a doctor that was supposed to be working on a vaccine. And they sent the team after him. The team was lost. So I'm wondering if we're going to get some of that background with that doctor. If we're going to see exactly what happened with them. I'm trying to think that maybe they're going to say, oh, there was loss after a team of special forces soldiers went to send in the extractor out of her lab in Los Angeles. So maybe it's a government thing. Maybe she's not really gone and it was just let out there that she was. So I'm wondering, just more intrigue there. There's some more world building here. I'm kind of thinking, how widespread was this? Is this stuck to just a California thing, or is this spreading all over the world and, you know, basically is the end of times? But it's cool to get some more of this background stuff because it fleshes out the world, so it's not so singularly focused just on these group of survivors. It's actually a bigger thing. Then, you know, during this whole thing, it's a flashback, so we see Regina, she's driving, and she's driving a freaking Purus, and I mean, come on, that's like the lamest car ever, but it's zombie apocalypse. I guess gas mileage really means a lot. And then we see a guy pops up and he's like, you know, we've been listening to the same stupid crap all day. That radio message is on repeat. And then I guess he's playing on his phone. And I'm like, okay, so this is either her boyfriend or husband or something. There's definitely a close relationship because you don't normally get on other people's nerves like this unless you really know each other, like you're actually in a relationship. And they start arguing over music, you know, stupid crap. I mean, it's a zombie apocalypse. Just let it go. And then we see that she has a ring on. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is her husband or fiance. And we find out they're not married yet, so they're fiancés. And they're just arguing. And this is where I had to stop reading, like after I get past this whole part, because it actually it hurt my heart a little bit because I've experienced this kind of stuff in my life, seeing people hurt each other and crying and people bringing up the past. And it's just, you know, it's just rough. It's definitely raw, and it's real. It's kind of heartbreaking for me, at least. And there's some clues in here. We find out some about the past. We learn about her fiance, a little bit what happened to her, and the little clues, things that I picked up on, like during the argument, he calls her Corporal Rakowski, and when he says that, she starts crying, and I'm thinking that is a triggering word for her when you bring up her military service. It's no fond memories there for her. I'm thinking right when he said that, and I think he knows that when he brings it up, it gets to her. And that's just another thing. It hits me when people know how to push people's buttons. They know what things are going to hurt them. They know what phrases or things in the past are going to hurt them the most. And you just see this go back and forth. It's just one of those little things I picked up on. I think that military service, calling her corporal, is it's a hard place for her. It's a hard memory for her. But we do learn some details, some more backstory about her character. And we've also learned that her fiance is in the dark about her past. He brings up that you won't even tell me how you earned that combat action ribbon. You know, that's pretty much unheard of for a mechanic. And that's right. You get a combat action ribbon for frontline fighting. And it's kind of like she didn't even share that with him, and this is supposed to be your husband-to-be. So what happened to her must have been pretty traumatic for her, because if she's not sharing any of this with anybody, and she just, you know, says, oh, there's some stuff that should be left in the past, and that's fine and dandy if it's not affecting you. But if it's affecting you the way that it looks like it's affecting her, it's not staying in the past. It's actively shaping your future, and not doing anything about it is not making things any better. And they continue on. They end up stopping at a gas station, and he's like, well, what are we doing here? And she's like, well, we need to, unless you want to walk the rest of the way, we need to stop and refuel. And that's another funny little thing there. She says refuel instead of getting gas. A normal, like, civilian type person would just say, oh, we need to get gas. And she says refuel. I thought that was a little funny. And the argument keeps going on, and then he says, look, after you ate that NJP, you lost that bit of fire you used to burn behind those eyes of yours. And an NJP is a non-judicial punishment. And you get that in the military when you do something bad, but it's not so bad that it's like, you know, you got caught sleeping on duty, you damaged some government property, something like that. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's definitely not a good thing. So I'll leave a link in the description below with some more definitions, that kind of stuff, because there's a lot of those little kind of details here. And they're fighting, and he's yelling at her, calls her, you know, all you do is cower, and she's, maybe I like cowering, and she's crying again. And this is where the thing that I hoped was going to happen happened, where it looks like, okay, good, he's trying to de-escalate the situation. She's crying. He goes up and he kind of hugs her from behind, and he's like, you know, we'll get to the army base. We'll be safe. I just, you know, got to let me in. And then I'm thinking, whew, I feel good. This argument's over. I can stop my my blood pressure can go down a little bit, right? And then she goes and says, I really just wished you'd stop acting like I owe you everything. And instead of taking it in stride and understanding how she's feeling, he turns around and says, oh, we're going to going there. Now what? You know, he's basically saying, F it. And if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't, I'd do everything for you. You owe me everything, even the clothes on your back. So the argument's back up again. I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. I thought the roller coaster was over, but the argument's back on. And of course, she's going to take it to the next level, because I've witnessed this in my own life where people will be having arguments, and it's the one-up game. Oh, you're going to do this and say this. I want to keep going. I'm going to prove to you that I'm crazier than you think I am. So she basically takes off all her clothes. Here, the clothes on my back here, they're all yours now. So that's how our character ended up naked. Took all her clothes off just to do that crazy thing. And then, of course, she's like, you know, put your clothes back on. And she's like, F you. And this is the part where she goes full on this. Regina's quite the lady. She's at the gas station, right? So she grabs her propane tank and just chucks it at the car and busts out it just gets stuck in the windshield. And I'm thinking, full propane tanks are not light. Hopefully this thing was empty, but man, they're pretty heavy. She chucks it, and just a word of advice out there for you guys: if your lady throws a propane tank at you, it's on the rocks. Your relationship is getting pretty rocky here. And then another thing, just an observation that I make: right after she does the violent act, you can see in his face that he's sorry now. You know, he says, come on, stop, I'm sorry. I just wish you'd talk to me. Just tell me what's bothering you. And you can see he's in de-escalation mode. But it happened after the violent episode. This de-escalation needed to happen before the violence started. And that's just, you know, the circle of violence. You know, one person blows up and the second one's like, oh, okay, now things went too far. You have to understand that things are getting there before it gets there, because she could have threw it at him, and I mean that would have freaking really caused some damage, getting hit with a freaking propane tank. But you can see that he's trying to de-escalate again, and then she opens up, and I'm supposing there was an event that happened where she says, you ran from battle like a coward. I would have rather that you died out there. I can't stand the thought of marrying a coward. And I can't imagine a worse thing you can say to a soldier, to like a police officer, that, you know, you in the line of duty, when you had to step it up, you didn't. You were a coward and you ran away. And you can see it in his eyes that it hurts him when she says that. And then she takes it to the next level, and she says, I wish you were effing dead. And you could just, I'm going to put this panel up here, just a single panel, and he's broken. And she's giving him that stare, like, look at that. Look at I said this to you. What are you going to do about it? And in these kinds of stories, if you wish that someone was dead, what do you think is going to happen? He gets zombies on him. So I guess during this whole fight, they were yelling, screaming at each other. They must have attracted a bunch of zombies. And she's there naked. They get the cars, you know, being surrounded. Her fiance is being killed. And that's kind of a funny touch here. But one of these zombies in the background has like purple hair, but she kind of has like the Sailor Moon buns in her hair. I just thought that was kind of a funny little touch. And she's like, oh, God, no, don't die. But you know what? This is happening now. She looks around and she's absolutely surrounded. She's frightened. She's scared. She just takes off because, you know, what else can she? She can't fight these things by herself. And there's no dialogue here. You just see the terror in her face. That's another touch I like about this book, is the facial expressions explain so much more than some captions, some words could have done. Just the visual medium of the comic book is special in that way, and they really, really capture it, especially in the facial expressions in this book. And so that's how we find out how she got naked. We're not completely caught up to the prologue, because she also had a gun, and a bikini on. So we're not there yet. So we're still in the past, and hopefully we catch up and learn the rest of that. But man, that whole scene with the argument was can be removed from a zombie apocalypse, and it was raw, real. It upsetted me, but in a good way. I'm glad it did that, because you don't get a lot of that emotional connection in a comic book, especially something in issue 1, and with characters I really don't know. I'm already emotionally invested in Regina, and I want her to get better. I want her to cope with her obvious. She has PTSD issues. Something went down and during a mission, or something that caused her to have all this pain, all this heartache. And I want her to get better. I want her to win. And not necessarily how do you win a zombie apocalypse. I guess the only way you win this war is surviving. And I want her to make it to the end. I would break my heart if she dies. I'm completely invested into this character. And you see the ups and downs of her journey so far. She lashes out, and then she breaks down. She allows people to help, and then she pushes them away. And it's got me wanting, leave them wanting more. And I definitely want more. The second issue is out now. I'm probably going to buy that after this weekend. I actually have a little trip I have to go on. But as soon as I get back, I'll read that. And hopefully it's not as emotionally hard for me, because the fighting, the whole relationship stuff, it just brought up a lot of bad times in my mind. But I guess that's how you make a connection to a character, is you can see things in your own life reflected in the pages. And it kind of hit a little too close to home. But I liked it. I enjoyed it. I want you to pick this issue up. It's not your typical zombie story. I think to have my title for this video is going to be just not another zombie story, or not your typical zombie story. And the characters are great. Regina is a flawed, a strong, wonderful character that I want to see her grow, and I want her to get better. Actually, I want to help her out. I want to see her get better. She can obviously take care of herself. She got away from all these zombies. We saw that in the prologue. But man, she needs to be a little bit more letting people help her. And even the people that are there not to hurt her, she just seems to want to build up those walls. If I don't let someone close to me, they can't hurt me. So if I hurt them first, they'll just hate me and leave me alone. That's no way to be. I mean, you can survive on that, but you're not going to be happy. It's just, I want her to be, I want this character to be happy. And I'm going to follow this all the way through to the end. Usually it takes me about 4 issues before I decide if I'm going to continue a series. I kind of got that now. Prologue and issue 1 got me sold on this comic. I'm going to follow it all the way through. You can pre-order the physical copy at your local comic book store. Just go up there to the counter and ask the guy. They have a diamond preview guide if you've never pre-ordered a comic, but just talk to the guy at the counter. They'll help you out. But definitely get a physical copy. These guys are doing a great job. Everyone on this team. The art's amazing. The story's great. If you have any type of military stuff that you like, characters like that, this is definitely something that you'll be into, because it's done not in a perfect G.I. Joe, old school 80s G.I. Joe where everything turned out good in the end and everyone's happy and great. It shows you that things aren't so wonderful, and that things can happen to people and it can change people, and you need to get help. And sometimes if it's during the zombie apocalypse, I mean, help's going to be hard to come by. But hopefully she finds it. And issue 2 should be out now, like I said. And you can get them digitally too. I'll leave all the links to all that stuff. But definitely try to get out there and get the physical copy. My local comic book store is like an hour and a half away. That's like with freeways. There's not one close near to me. But when I'm out in the town, and I'll definitely stop by and pick up a physical copy, put a pre-order in. It's from Antarctic Press, so definitely support this. Support the creators. I'll leave all their links to their Patreon. There's their store. They sell stickers and stuff and T-shirts. So definitely be invested. It's definitely worth following. Normally in these indie comics, there's like bad art and like flat characters, and none of that here. None of this so far. It's all been pretty stellar. Crimson Sin here. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like, sub, and share. Also, for the most up-to-date information about the podcast, follow us on Twitter at C15 Podcast.